We're on page 378. So we mentioned what happens if instead of hamotzi you make mizonot. What happens if instead of hamotzi you make a ha'etz? What happens if hamotzi you make a shakol? What happens instead of hamotzi you make ha'adama? We mentioned all of those halachot, and now we're going to reverse the questions a little bit. 378. We're going to say, what if you make a hamotzi on a cookie? So you make a blessing of bread on a grain product, but whereas we were talking about yesterday, you were making a blessing on a specific food with a more generic blessing. So you were making a mizonot on something that's mizonot. Bread is mizonot, but it's a refined mizonot that became bread. Bread grows in the ground, technically the wheat, but it's a refined version. So now instead of making a generic blessing on a specific food, you're making a specific blessing on a generic food. אם טעה וברח על עוגות ברכת המוציא במקום ברכת בריאות מזונות, if you made a hamotzi on cookies or cakes instead of mizonot, יצא ידי חובתו בדיעבד. You fulfilled your obligation, not ideally, but after the fact it works.
You can make a motzi on a cookie?
Yeah. ואף על פי שיש חולקים בזה, even though there are those who argue about this, מכל מקום כהרגלו בידינו סלק ברכות להקל, we have a rule in our hands which says when you're in doubt, don't make a blessing. So understand here the brilliance of this. There are those who say it didn't work. The hamotzi didn't work on the cookie. But your other option is to go make a mizonot now. And then what happens? You're now making a blessing that another group of rabbis say you shouldn't make. And because of that, you've created a doubt. You're making a doubt against a biblical prohibition. You might be saying Hashem's name in vain. It's better for you to eat the cookie without a blessing.
Any blessing.
Any blessing, or the hamotzi blessing, than to try to repeat the blessing a second time.
Well, saying the bracha rishonah, that's not deoraita, isn't it?
Correct.
So now it's
a rabbinic against a biblical. That's
yeah.
correct. That's we mentioned this last night. You're right. ומכל מקום מברך המוציא על תבשיל העשוי מחמש מיני דגן לא יצא אפילו בדיעבד. But if you make a hamotzi on like cooked barley or wheat, cream of wheat or something like that, it doesn't count. Let's see what the difference is.
So that's like if you grind it into flour first, not as the whole grain, because you can make cream of barley from the whole grains.
Yeah, the whole grain doesn't help. It's a baked product versus a cooked product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay.
Wait.
Like you bake bread as opposed to like boiling or, over a stove, a cream of something.
Cream of wheat.
But you would never
like you
make
said, a
hamotzi
cookie.
with that.
Cookies
The
baked.
actual difference.
Yeah,
between
that
the
would
two,
be a hamotzi, or
Or could be.
it would suffice.
But it wouldn't because it has so much sugar that you wouldn't consider it to be bread.
We're going to take this in the next chapter of Shulchan Aruch. We're going to deal with this question in depth. So I'm just leaving it now as that. We'll get. The next question is a little more relevant to us. Birech hamotzi b'lashon aramit. You made hamotzi in Aramaic. Is it only about Aramaic?
No,
Hey.
any language is
No,
not
let's say you
bread.
made any language. What's the difference between praying in a language and in any language versus praying in Hebrew? Halachically, what's the difference between those two?
If it's in Hebrew,
I said it in a class recently.
in Hebrew you can't say Hashem's name more than one time, but in another language you could.
I
That's
believe,
what, yeah.
I
If you,
believe in Hebrew you don't have to understand what you're saying.
Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
In Hebrew, even if you don't understand Hebrew, when you pray in Hebrew, it works. Every other language, if you don't understand that language, you can't pray in that language. So you can't pick up a transliterated siddur translated siddur into Spanish if you don't speak Spanish and pray with it. It doesn't work.
So that hold from Aramaic as well? Because there's sections in the prayer book that
Yeah.
are Aramaic.
Yeah.
Like when we open the Ark, the whole section that we do from the Zohar is in Aramaic.
That's right. So that whole thing is that prayer, but not a prayer in the sense of you're not fulfilling any obligation in that prayer. Some want to say that Aramaic has a higher status than other languages. That's a little more Kabbalistic circles. They care more about Aramaic than others. But
Or Valetzion has
I
some
was going to say
Aramaic sections in it.
Avolacion in the daily.
It's mix of Hebrew and
But see,
Yeah.
what you're saying there again are prayers. I'm not saying prayers as in prayers. I'm saying
Like
prayers
brachot.
like brachot, obligatory prayers.
Shema.
Shema is the one prayer that is ideally said in Hebrew.
Yeah.
It's the one prayer you should try to say. Why? Why?
Pasuk.
Biblical. Because it's written in the Torah in Hebrew. All the other blessings are words of a rabbi. These words are actually written by Kadosh Baruch Hu in the Torah. You'd much rather say them properly in Hebrew. I mean, you can pray Amidah in English. It's fine. There's nothing wrong. Not one halachic problem praying Amidah in English. But your Shema Yisrael, you should be able to say in Hebrew. That should be your goal. If you make a hamotzi in a different language, like you say in Aramaic, blessed is the merciful one, Malka de Alma, the king of the universe, Mare de Hai Pita, who is the master of this pita. Pita means bread.
Yeah.
Pat in Hebrew,
Yep.
pita in Aramaic. I guess pita in Arabic too. Yetzai yedei chova, you fulfilled your obligation.
So if you said in English, blessed art thou, bring bread from the earth,
That's correct.
and you say amen to it.
I'm not sure. I saw once a minyan of Russian Jews who prayed in Russian. I mean, they would say, imagine like we would say, exalted and sanctified be his great name. Amen. But that's the whole minyan. That's how they pray. Technically, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, they probably understand what they're saying more than anybody else.
Yeah.
That part is hard. I think that oftentimes we don't realize that we push people to read Hebrew and then to pray in Hebrew. We don't realize that a lot of people, especially those who haven't been doing this their whole life, don't really know what they're saying in Hebrew. And then you create these challenges where tefillah is not meaningful enough, or tefillah I don't connect to it, or that's really a challenge. And that's a challenge that it's not something you can't fix, but it's something that you struggle with precisely because the language of the Jewish people is not Hebrew. It's why our rabbis instituted so many prayers in Aramaic. Precisely this, to do that, to make things... Like today we look at, if you would just pray some parts of the prayer in English, they look at you like, well, are you guys a religious community? Yeah, our rabbis did that all the time. They prayed in Aramaic. Kaddish is in Aramaic. The reason Kaddish is in Aramaic,
So people
so
understand.
people can understand.
Understand what you're saying?
Yeah.
The reason the Haggadah begins in Aramaic, so people know what they're saying. And the rest of the Haggadah, what language do you say it in? Whatever language you want.
Yeah.
But even in those communities like ours, we read Hebrew, Haggadot in Hebrew. I know for sure in the Moroccan community, in the Iraqi community, in the Yemenite community, they translated the Haggadah to Arabic, line by line. Line by line. In Morocco, already they started translating the Haggadah from Hebrew to Arabic to Spanish to French. Sometimes the person who led the Seder would read the Haggadah in 4 languages.
Wow.
There's part of it too. You can look, Joe Amar has a CD about it. There's a Rabbi Chaim Ovadia has the Haggadah written in Baghdadi Arabic. He sings it in Baghdadi Arabic. And a few different communities that have this minhag. In Yiddish, I'm certain there are people who read Haggadah in Yiddish. I'm certain. In fact, in the Yiddish-speaking community, they were light years ahead of this. They have prayer books with Yiddish translations, Chumashim with Yiddish translations. It was a normal thing for people to read the prayers in Yiddish. So they understood. In fact, if you look at some of the old American prayer books, it has Hebrew on one side and English on the other side. That's not like the old, like Sinai printing houses, like yeah.
I grew up with those.
And on one side, you think it's Hebrew instructions, but all the instructions are in Yiddish. Because the assumption is that if you're reading the Hebrew, you still speak Yiddish. They wouldn't write, the Hebrew instructions are not actually in Hebrew.
Conservative synagogues used to use that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
That was our synagogue prayer book.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, there you have it. So, let's look at this footnote here on 379 in the left column of the page. Mikol Hadin, the origin of this, the source of this law. She'im berach ba'aramit yatzah, that if you made a blessing in Aramaic, you fulfilled your obligation. Bivachot, it's found in the Talmud Masechet Brachot, page 40b. V'chen pasak Rambam. The Rambam rules this way the same. What does the Rambam say? Shabrachot ne'emarot b'chol lashon. You say the brachot in any language. V'im shina tamatbea. Okay, here's the next rule you have to know. The problem with saying you can pray in every language is that our rabbis say that you can never deviate from the formula in which blessings are written. So asur lishanot mimatbea shetav'u chachamim. It's forbidden to change the. Let's say you wanted to say. What's blessing? What could you say? Okay, you said you want to say Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Haolam, instead of saying Borei Pri Hadama, you want to say Borei Pri Haaretz. Land, earth. You wanted to change it. Why? For whatever reason. You wanted to change it. It's forbidden to change the text of the brachot. Not all of our prayers are written by the rabbis, but those that are written by the rabbis, we leave them in the formula they did. We believe that one, that they're already legislated. So there's two ways to look at this. Either on a more spiritual level, that we believe the formula they used is accurate, and by meddling with their accurate blessings we'll mess up something. There's also a more legalistic way, which is this is the way things were codified. And as any other legal system, if you go to court and they ask you to swear on the Bible and you say, I solemnly believe that I'm telling the truth, you can't swear on a Bible like that. You have to say either the formula they say or a different one.
And if that's the case, then wouldn't imprecise translation be an issue?
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Exactly the problem. We're going to get there right now. They still make people swear in a Bible in this country? Yeah.
What Bibles?
In
I think
court,
so.
they still swear in a Bible?
I think so.
Yeah.
I could still do it.
Really?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they do, yeah.
they do.
Um,
King James probably.
The King James Version, yeah.
It's not JPS.
So now you have this problem. The problem is now you're changing the formula because you're praying in English. ואם שינת המטבע הואיל והזכיר השכרה ומלכות ועניין הברכה ואפילו בשון חול יצא. So how does the Rambam justify you can pray in English or any language? It's very simple. The formula remained intact. You mention all the parts of the formula that need to be there. Let's list them. You mention Askara. You mention God's name. Umalchut. You mention the kingdom of Hashem. Inyan habracha. And you say the idea behind the blessing. So you say Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam, the king of the world. It's important to say that. And then Shakon Yad V'Lo, or Hamasich Haaretz. So you tick all the boxes of the formulas outlined that the rabbis wanted. The exact words, maybe not. V'chen pasak HaTur v'Shulchan Aruch kan. Both the Tur and the Shulchan Aruch rule this way. Shim Amar Brich Chamana Malkan Maridai Pita Yatsa. That if you make this blessing in Aramaic, you fulfill the obligation. When they say this, the fact that Maran rules this way tells you that he believes you can say blessings in any language. V'had debayina shemar chamana malka, and that which he says that you have to say, the merciful one, the king. Why is he adding king? Because kingship is one of the variables in this formula. Katav Bet Yosef, Dahainu ki Rabbi Yochanan, Damar Hatam Debayinu sheskir gam malchut. Because he's ruling like Rabbi Yochanan, the Talmud, who says you have to mention the kingship of Hashem. V'chen kavdu Rabim HaRishonim, and many of the Rishonim wrote this. Shetzarich shomar chamana malka. That you have to say chamana malka. If I recall correctly, there's a version that says Brich Chamanan Dahai Pita. Just blessed is the merciful one, the master of this bread. Some even say that's what the Talmud says. Vayen betosfot. Look at Tosafot. Debainan gam she'askir ha'olam. The melech havad malchut. Tosafot says you also have to say not just king, but king of the universe, king of the world. Because just a king of what? That's not kingship of Hashem unless you say what he's the king over. V'chen, and on page 380 in the right column. כתבו כמה ראשונים, some of the ראשונים write שצריך שיאמר בריך רמנה מלכה דעלמה, the king of the universe. וכן פסק השולחן ערוך להלן, and Maran rules the same thing later on. ועל פי זה כתב הפרישה. The rest of this is trying to say why Maran doesn't mention the word world here, and he mentions the word world later. But that's already a different conversation. So here you see that you're able to make brachot in another language. Let's look at the top page 380. We'll finish these halachot for today. Some say you have to add that word Elaha, the God. But why do they say Elaha and not Eloha?
Allah.
To the best of my knowledge in Aramaic, there is no kamatz katan. There is no kamatz o. In Kaddish, people make a mistake. Yesh me'raba v'ach le'olam u'l'ol me'ol maya. And that's in Hebrew. In Aramaic, le'alam u'le'alme al-maya. There is no o in Aramaic. Understand what I'm saying? You have to make sure that you pronounce these things properly. At least in the Sephardic understanding of Aramaic, there is no O. I cannot tell you that Ashkenazim clearly do have an O in Aramaic. But I don't know if that's because they believe in Aramaic, that's how it was spoken, or that's just the way they read Hebrew, and the Hebrew vowels in Aramaic say that. I'm not sure if it's an argument about reality or just an argument in terms of custom. But when one is reading Aramaic, we say Elaha. We say in the Brit Shmei, for example, that we read. What do we say there? So I have a siddur here.
I know it's a different issue, but the Rambam in his epistle to Yemen says that it's, you fulfill your obligation saying the Amidah in Arabic. Jews have to do things secretly.
Right.
And of course, Inquisition they had.
Well, that's where this prayer
Prayer books in
Bendigamos
Latin.
most likely comes from. Bendigamos, but because they were praying in a language that didn't make them sound like they were Jewish. They prayed Birkat Hamazon, and that counts. Which is why many communities have a custom to sing that after Birkat Hamazon. The reason? If you sing it beforehand, you might fulfill your obligation of Birkat Hamazon, and then you're not able to say Birkat Hamazon. That was the Gaon of Vilna's opinion. You know, in many Sephardic communities, you do Birkat Hamazon, you sing that song is an abridged Birkat Hamazon in Hebrew. The Gaon of Vilna felt that would, once you sing Trum Mishalom,
Your obligation.
you can't say Birkat Hamazon anymore. So he recommended people singing it afterwards. It seems to me the reason why we sing it before is precisely for the same reason. We sing it before so that all the people who don't know how to say Birkat Hamazon will fulfill their obligation. And those of us who are singing it and know how to say Birkat Hamazon, we have in mind not to fulfill our obligation.
So it's advertised, I mean, it's promoted as an introduction to Birkat Hamazon.
Correct. But really, it seems to be that it was written as a replacement for Birkat Hamazon. Well, this is actual Sephardic Siddur. You know, I get thrown off with all the different Siddur. Okay. Brich Shmei de Mare Alma. Brich Alma, because Ella Be'elaha Dishmaya. Not Eloha, Elaha Dishmaya. The God of heaven. Who Elaha Dishmaya, the true God. Who I take a shot. Whenever we see this kamatz, you don't find the kamatz katan. It's interesting why in the word chol, the chol amach Yisrael. Why we don't say the chal amach? There must be a rule about the word kol. I don't have a good answer. Let's just say last two sentences here for tonight, or I think it was to do. Page 381. V'hainu dafka k'shamar brich hachamana. Dafka when you say rachamana, the merciful one. Ki rachamana hu shmo shel Hashem yitbarach b'aramit. Because rachamana is the name of Hakadosh Baruch Hu in Aramaic. That's how you say God. Meaning harachaman hu yivarach. Rachaman, rachaman, rachaman. Because rachamana is the name for Hakadosh Baruch Hu. That's why you ever hear someone say rachmanan litzlan. Rachmanan litzlan means God forbid. Literally, God save us. But that's why they say Rachmana. Rachmana is Hashem's name. But if you say Harachaman, the merciful one, you don't fulfill your obligation. Why? Because even though Harachaman and Rachamana mean the same thing, Rachaman and Harachaman, Rachamana and Rachaman are not the same name for God. One is a name of God, and one is a definition of the name of God. אם אמר ברי חכמנה מלכה דאמה מראה דהי בלא להזכיר תיבת פיתה והפת מונחת לפניו דיעבד גם חוזר וברך. If you say blessed is Hashem, the God of this, you don't say the word bread, then you still fulfill your obligation if the bread is sitting in front of you. Because this, meaning this, that's what I'm holding, that's what I'm eating, that's what I'm about to eat right now. That's an interesting halakhic question how we reach that conclusion, but B'ezrat Hashem, we'll do more of this next week. Have a beautiful evening.